Hello, and welcome to Toastmasters TV. I'm Deb Elbaum, the Vice President of Membership of Sunlife Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an organization dedicated to helping people develop their communication and leadership skills. Currently, there are more than 15,000 Toastmaster clubs worldwide. Our club, the Sunlife Toastmasters, meets on Thursdays at noon at Sunlife Financial in Wellesley. Each of our meetings follows a set agenda. One especially fun part of the meeting is called Table Topics. The purpose of Table Topics is to help people develop their impromptu speaking skills. During Table Topics, a Table Topics master poses questions to the members. One at a time, members come up and answer on the spot by speaking for 1 to 2 minutes. Tonight, we are bringing Table Topics to you at home. Here's what's going to happen. Michelle Droeske, our Vice President of Education, will be our Table Topics master. She has lots of potential, thought-provoking questions. She'll pose a question and then call on one of our eager members of the studio audience to come up here and answer the question on the spot by speaking for 1 to 2 minutes. I know our answers are going to be entertaining. I'd like to invite up Michelle Droeske, our Vice President of Education. Michelle?
Thank you, Deb, for that very nice and informative introduction. The way we'll be doing Table Topics is I will read a question and call on somebody to answer. We will have very little time to prepare, thus the real Table Topics way. Okay, the question is, what's something you know you do differently than most people? Bonni.
Thank you. Did you ever ask yourself, what's different about me? What do I do that's different from other people? Did you ever feel like you're kind of alone, like you're the only one who does something really different from someone else and maybe makes you feel kind of different and sort of out there? I have one thing that I do different, perhaps, than many of you. And that is I get up early every day when no one is awake and just meditate and start reading and start thinking and start writing. It's the quiet way of entering the world for me. It's the way that gives me pose. It gives me reflection. It helps me understand what I really want to accomplish today. And it is that quiet that really encourages me and electrifies me to be able to make my day different. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonni. And now we know something new about you. Next question is, do you like the city or town you live in? Why or why not? And if this is too straightforward, black and white of a question, you can just talk about anything around your daily life or what you do in your town or city. Ying.
Hi everyone, my name is Ying. I'm very glad to talk about this town I live in. Now I live in Waltham, Massachusetts. And it has been the fourth city I've ever lived for a long time in my life. First, my hometown in China, then Beijing, and then a small town in North Carolina, then it's Waltham. I really like the way that we live in Waltham. It's a quiet town out of Boston area, and at the same time, it has two big universities, the Brandeis University and the Bentley College just around it. So there's a fairly large number of very energetic people in the town, and very busy mornings. And the place I live is very close to the supermarket and also a YMCA just at the corner, close to the highways. So I think it's really a great place to live, Waltham. Thank you.
Thank you, Ying. I've always wondered what's past all the traffic on Winter Street when you try to get off of exit 128 and exit 21. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, the next question is, what life lesson did you learn the hard way? Deb.
Thank you. Wow, I've learned lots of life lessons. One of the main ones I learned the hard way is the lesson that you should do what you're passionate about, that you should make your life work something that you really care about, something in which you really want to have an impact on other people, and something that plays to your strengths. I learned this the hard way because after college, I wasn't really sure what to do. I talked with a lot of people, and because I was good in math and science, people said, oh, go to medical school, be a doctor. But it really wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't know that I could say, hold on, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to take my skills and do something else. Maybe study neuropsychology, maybe something I hadn't even thought of before. But I followed that well-worn path to medical school. It didn't serve me. I really didn't like it, if I'm being completely honest. I graduated, I started my internship, and it took a huge toll on me. I got an ulcer, I developed a bunion, I couldn't sleep at night. Physically and emotionally, it took a huge toll. And the lesson today is that when I talk with my kids about what it is they want to do, I know that I'm going to say to them, you really need to follow your passion and your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And I do happen to know that story about you because I read your website, and I always think that's so fascinating and just makes you so special. The next question I have is, why do we idolize sports players? I'm going to give this one to Paul.
Thank you, Michelle. My name is Paul Hart, member of the Toastmasters Club here at Sunlife, and I am a little bit of a sports fan, just a little bit. I plan out days, weeks, vacations around what sports events are coming up. So you could say I'm the perfect person to answer this question. I don't idolize a particular player, especially local teams. I'm not a huge fan of the Patriots. I'm not a huge Red Sox fan. I follow those teams because everyone around me does, and I want to stay up on the details of what's going on. But I would say that I tend to follow teams that I think are the most exciting stories. So when Katrina happened, I followed the New Orleans Saints because they were an exciting story. When the Nationals in Washington, D.C. started to get a lot of young players, I started to find them exciting to follow. So I'll root for them. So I think myself, I like to watch sports, but I think other people might like Tom Brady because I heard he's good looking, I don't know. But players like Tom Brady, players like Peyton Manning, they give us someone to root for, someone to strive to be like, to say, hey, that person's great, he's winning games, he's making money. Like all people in society, we need to have someone to pattern our lives after, so, why not root for a sports player? Michelle?
Thank you so much, Paul, for that answer, and I'm glad I gave you that question. Next question is going to be, if you could go anywhere, where would it be and why? Subhadra, would you like to come up?
Have you guys ever wondered what is your favorite place? Some people might say it's Costa Rica, some might say Hawaii, and some might say a city in Italy. For me, all these places hold significance, and they're beautiful cities, and I would love to visit those places. But for me, at this point of time, if I were given a choice where to travel to, I would say my hometown in India, Bhubaneswar. That's where I'm from originally. It's been 2 years since I visited India, primarily for immigration reasons. I do not have a visa. My visa, I do have a visa, but it's extending and it's pending approval. So in that time period, you cannot travel outside the country. So I've missed 2 celebrations in my family since the last 2 years, and I can't wait to make it there next time. I keep daydreaming. I mean, imagine people daydream about food, fashion, whatnot. I'm just daydreaming to be back home and have all the delicacies and be with my family. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think one of the great things about Toastmasters is you meet people from everywhere and you hear their life stories and their journeys and how they ended up in the club. And it really adds to the culture I think we have. So thank you so much for sharing that. The next question I have is, what is your favorite fictional story? It could be from a novel, a movie, a TV show, and I'll send this one to Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen Culver from the BNI Mass Toastmasters in Sudbury. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My favorite fictional story. That's going to be a tough one. I have so many. I'm a big fan of science fiction and fantasy novels, and as you know, usually they take you to a whole nother world, and they have multiple volumes, and they go on, and they're like these great big sagas, epic stories. I think one of my favorites, and this is going to be a little obscure, it's based on a manga. It was made into an animated film, and it's called Record of Lodoss War. And it has a very Lord of the Rings-esque feel to it because it has the knight, the elf, the dwarf, all the characters you usually imagine when you see that style story. And the biggest thing is just about the time you get to the last act, there's about 6 major stories, you think they've got it all resolved, and they leave it open-ended for a whole nother 6 episodes. And I love it because as long as there's someone who's ready to read or watch the stories, they could keep going on, and your imagination just kind of unfurls. It really is so much fun, and you get lost in it. Thank you.
Thank you. I've never heard of that series, but I will check it out. It sounds very entertaining. Speaking of entertaining and energy, my next question is, what gets you excited about life? Donna, would you like to come up?
Thank you, Michelle. Life is exciting for so many reasons. One of my passions in life, which gets me more excited to think about, is travel. I have been in many places around the world, traveled and lived in many places around the world, and I always like to go to places I've never been to before. One of the things I like the most is the feeling of disconnection, going into another world. And I think the best way to achieve that is to go to a place where I do not understand the language. It's a challenge to communicate with people, but it gives a great opportunity to explore. Another great thing to explore is food I've never tasted before. Trying new things in different restaurants that I've never heard of. And finally, listening to music I've never heard before. And music being my other great passion, it brings it all together to something really exciting. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. I definitely agree. Travel is exciting, and especially the food part, because I like to eat. Okay, my next question is going to be, what is your biggest phobia? And I'm interested to hear what Bonni has to say about that.
Thank you so much, Michelle. My biggest phobia. It's really hard to imagine something that I'm totally afraid of. because I tend to go into things with such crazy abandon. But I guess if I were afraid of something, or what I used to be afraid of, it was this, public speaking. And so here I find myself, so ever few months, years later, at the front of a podium. And I've learned through the years that I'm not the only one who feels this way. Maybe you felt this way at some time. I once heard that it's more frightening than going to the dentist, which might be my other phobia. But this was mine, and I'm so happy that I overcame it, and happy to be here tonight.
Thank you. And I know members at the Sunlife Club where I'm from are very happy to have you, and we will support you, whatever you need, to accomplish to overcome your phobia even more. Okay, my next question is going to be, who do you sometimes compare yourself to? So talk about thought-provoking. Let's go with Paul.
Well, thank you for that great question, Michelle. Who do I sometimes compare myself with? I would have to say I compare myself with probably my younger brother, Steve. He's only a year and a half younger than me. We were very close and still are very close to this day. And there's always been a rivalry between us. We would play games, soccer, basketball, kickball, wiffle ball, anything. Even now, we play pool, we play cards, and all these athletic games we play, he always beats me. And that's hard for an older brother to take because I'm older. But he also has about a foot, almost a foot and a half on me. I didn't get his height. I didn't get the height from my dad's side. So I come up short in a lot of athletic competitions. But I like to tell a story about a few months ago where I was finally able to best him. It was miniature golf, and I'm intense when I play miniature golf. And on this day, he was bragging that he was going to beat me. And I said, "We'll see, Steve, we'll see." And as we played, I had a lead, and I was able to hold on and beat him at the end. And I sunk a putt at the end, at the very last hole, to pull off the win. And I was so excited. So beating my brother is what I would say. Michelle.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, my next question is either what's your fondest childhood memory or just a really happy memory that you have. Kristen, would you like to go up?
Thankfully, I had a very happy childhood, so I have a lot to choose from. I would probably say my happiest childhood memory, I think it was one Christmas. This may be a very common one for a lot of kids. My parents believed that they wanted to make sure we never wanted for anything, but they got a little creative one year. Instead of just wrapping up a whole bunch of presents, putting them under the tree so it looked like the tree exploded with gifts and it was overflowing out the door, my mom and dad had meticulously wrapped each and every gift and put them inside every pocket and every pouch of a set of traveling, I wouldn't call them suitcases, but my first luggage, really. And I was about 16, so this was kind of a big deal because it meant they trusted me enough to go away somewhere and come back. And I just had so much fun opening every pouch and every zipper and pulling out a wrapped gift. I don't know how they knew that we got them all because there were so many small ones, but there were socks, there was jewelry, there was music, everything I could possibly want at that age in my life. And it was just so much fun. It was like the gift that just kept on giving. And then, of course, they had nested suitcases within suitcases. So it was like Russian nesting dolls. I just had so much fun with it that year. And I always go back to that as when I'm ready to surprise a child of my own with a really cool gift, I'm going to make sure I do something really creative and make sure that they have lots of fun taking time to rip open that paper and just savor the moment. That would probably be my happiest childhood memory. Thank you.
you so much. That is creative and very neat. I'll have to keep that in mind as well. Okay, moving on. My next question is, would you rather be a worried genius or a joyful simpleton? And I'm going to ask somebody who I know is on the analytical side. So if Ying, would you come up and give us your opinion?
Thank you, Michelle. A happy simpleton or a worried genius? Well, I've been hoping that I was a genius when I was a child, but it turns out I'd better just be a happy simpleton because I think that's what I'm now. Well, what else can you benefit more except from happiness? I think Harvard did a study on a couple of hundred people throughout the 70 years and looking for what make people happy eventually. Is it money? Is it social status? None of them. And after following them for 70 years, they find that the people who feel most happy is those with a very good close relationship. So you have a good companion, you have good relationship with your parents, your children, a group of friends who will always support you. So even if I need to sacrifice something on my IQ side, I will still choose a simple, happy simpleton. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ying. Pulling the facts out of a hat. I don't know how you do it. You're like, oh, I'll just pull out a well-known a fact I read the other day. Thank you so much. Okay, my next question is, what activities do you get lost in and just the time passes away? Subhadra, would you like to come up?
I have quite a few hobbies, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be involved in those. But one that comes to mind is music. I am passionate about music. I've been learning music as early as I started learning to read and write. So I've been involved in all kinds of musical pursuits, starting from vocal to keyboard to other instruments, Indian instruments like veena and tanpura. But my musical journey was not far from obstacles. Initially, when I started competing in music competitions, just like speaking, I had a huge stage fear. So that was a big impediment because as soon as I went on stage, a lot of times I wouldn't be able to hit the music, the pitch, or I would actually forget the lyrics. That's when I started developing this fear, and I was almost starting to move away from music. But then I learned, actually my mom was one of my biggest influences, sent me back to that stage. And every time I went back to that stage, I started fighting that fear, and the fear of public speaking, fear of music. And basically in life, I learned everything that you fear, you should face that the most, because that's how you're going to overcome that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really like the music and public speaking transition. That's really nice. My next question is going to be, what's one downside to the modern world? And I'm going to ask Deb if she would like to come up.
Thank you. One of the biggest downsides to the modern world, I have to say, is the iPhone. As much as I love my iPhone, I am addicted to it. It's not only me. Everywhere you go, you see people hunched over their phones. Kids are on their phones, grown-ups on their phones, the elderly's on, everyone's on a phone. Why is this a downside? Because it impedes communication. Nobody is looking at other people. Nobody is making conversation with someone. My teenage daughter says that she talks to people all the time. The truth is she's not talking with them. She's texting them. That's what people say. I'm talking with someone, but you're doing it through a computer device. I know it's probably not a popular answer because we couldn't imagine our lives without our iPhones, but I have to say that's what I think it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. The iPhone, friend or foe? I don't know. Okay, I think we're gonna do our last table topics question, and then we'll move into something else. I'm going to ask Danna to come up. What is the best quality a leader should have, or qualities in general? Danna?
Thank you, Michelle. What is a leader? A leader is someone that gets people behind her or him and behind an idea. What makes a good leader is a good listener. A good leader is not necessarily the person that goes out and shouts the louder or makes the most outrageous decisions. A good leader is the person that listens to the people that they are supposed to lead and understand what they need and what they want and how together they can work to move forward, whether it is in a small team environment or a whole country. A leader needs to be on top of the real world and on top of what people really need and really want, and to do that by listening and understanding. Michelle.
Thank you. Well said, Danna. Thank you so much. Okay, well, in our remaining time, thank you so much for everyone's participation in table topics. I hope everyone had fun with those very thought-provoking questions, and thank you so much for being put on the spot tonight. I'd like to take a few minutes to ask each of you, and we can just go down the row, and just talk either about what you've gotten out of Toastmasters so far, or why you joined, or maybe even what you were surprised you got out of that you didn't know you would when you first started the program. So Kristen, would you like to come up?
I got into Toastmasters on that question. I think I was a guest at a meeting, and someone asked me to say, "Why did you come here today?" And I did. And they said, "Oh, you're great." Gave me a ribbon, signed me up. And now, about a year and a half later, I'm here. Oops. Actually, I think it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I speak all the time in my job. However, like you were just saying a moment ago, a good leader listens. And as I want to develop myself as a leader in my industry, I need to balance those two skills. And Toastmasters has both. It has a leadership track and a communication track. And I love how there's a lot of overlap. And what's really interesting is I like winning, I like earning things, so it's really easy to incentivize me. But it's also been challenging as I'm an officer in my club, motivating and inspiring and encouraging my members to do more and try more and get past the icebreaker and then get past the next speech and overcome one or two things that they could tweak or improve. And I'm really enjoying that nurturing process. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Danna, would you like to come up and share your experiences or what you never thought you'd get out of Toastmasters that you have?
Thank you, Michelle. A lot of people join Toastmasters in order to speak better or listen better or be a leader. My great surprise of something I found at Toastmaster is leadership. I came in to learn how to speak, and a few months later someone grabbed me and said, "Danna, would you take the role of VP of membership for our club?" And I had no idea what it meant, but I said, "Yeah, okay." As VP of membership, I had to speak with guests that came through the door and members, and it forced me to open up and have conversations that I didn't necessarily feel comfortable having before that. And after that, I went on to other leadership roles within Toastmasters and learned more and more on how to work with people, how to lead, how to manage projects, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much, Danna. We'll now go over to Bonni, who is a recent new member to Toastmasters. So maybe you can share why you already kind of explained your phobia. So maybe what you found out about the club that you liked, or where you're hoping your goals will go as you progress.
Yeah. You may be surprised to learn that I do speak for a living, that I do corporate training, and I'm always at the front of the room, but I'm at the front of the room with people that I know well in corporations. And so that was always a great comfort zone for me, and it seemed like I was going along just fine until someone said to me about 6 months ago, you really, really should just get your message out there to a bigger universe. You really have a lot that you could share. Why don't you try doing more public speaking, more keynote speaking? Well, I laughed. No, not me. No, I'm just really quite fine in my own setting. And sure enough, I was starting to be asked to be a keynote. And that's when I said, I think I should call Toastmasters. And I'm so deeply moved by being here, because it's such a wonderful and really warm environment. And I've only been here for 4 or 5 meetings, but already feel like part of the group. And I think it's a wonderful experience to get yourself outside of your comfort zone and at the same time be surrounded with the kind of support that will enable you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Bonni. Subhadra, would you like to come up, share your thoughts?
As some of you know by now, I'm a software developer by profession, and the usual conventional thought is that developers or engineers are geeks, not very good with communication skills. I wanted to change that thought a bit, and that's how I landed up in Toastmasters. So first was communication, that was a goal. But the other thing is I ended up meeting people from all different realms of life. And when it comes to communication, it wasn't just speaking in front of an audience and giving presentations. That was definitely a key part to it. But there was more to that than that. How do you evaluate people? How do you give them feedback, and just the right amount of feedback, which is constructive enough? How do you coach someone? One of the biggest bonuses that I wasn't expecting but came in as a pleasant surprise is mentoring other newer members. That was such an enriching experience. It's hard to even describe. Seeing that person going up the ladder and going up the curve in the speaking skills. The last part that again came as a surprise like you was the leadership track. In my job, I wasn't a leader, I was an individual contributor, and Toastmasters gave me this opportunity to practice leadership skills either through officer roles or through organizing events or just taking an initiative and making a difference. So for me, Toastmaster was, again, one of the best decisions of my life as well, and I'm so glad to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul, would you like to come up?
Thank you, Michelle. So my experience with Toastmasters has been wonderful. I've been in Toastmasters for 2 years, actually more than 2 years, but I've been with this club, and I'm the current president of Sunlife, and it's a lot of work being president of a club. I see myself as being kind of the person behind the scenes, making sure the club is successful, making sure people reach their goals. And I really enjoy the work that I do, and I hope that the people in the club are getting a lot out of it, and I'm sure they are. I want to say that my reason for being in Toastmasters is to be more confident. Growing up, I was always shy, always hesitant to speak, and even in class, I would be the one who would want to talk when people were sharing. I would be the last person to share. And it's been a challenge, but through speaking frequently, I've been more confident. And particularly with giving speeches. A lot of people have a hard time finding speeches and putting them together. And after speaking many months in a row, I've been able to put together speeches within a day, even a couple hours, finding out the morning of a meeting that we have a speaker canceling and then just putting together a speech like that. You learn a lot by speaking and doing it frequently, so I encourage everyone who wants to become a better speaker to definitely consider Toastmasters. Michelle.
Thank you, Paul. We'll go on to Ying. She could come up.
Thank you, Michelle. A thing that I never thought I would get from Toastmaster meeting was a love for the stage. Just similar to what Paul just said, I was a pretty shy girl growing up. I always envy those people who are just so good at performing on the stage, either by dancing, like singing a song, or just making a speech. I was like, those people are superstars in my mind. And I still remember with the first time I went to the Toastmaster meeting, and I did my icebreaker speech. I have every sentence wrote out just in front of me, standing at the symposium, and still I was like shaking my voice. And another person who just done 5 or 6 speeches in the club was very relaxed when she made her speech. I was really impressed. And by magic, I think when I go to my 7th speech, I'm also more relaxed, and I can use my body structures. I can jump on the stage. And now finishing my 10th speech today, I'm really excited, and now I can't wait to do more speeches. Thank you.
Thank you, Ying. Yeah, she did complete her 10th speech in the Competent Communicator Manual, and I can't wait to present her certificate in our club. Thank you so much, Ying. Deb, would you like to come up and share your insight?
Thank you. I have been a member at Sunlife Toastmasters for about a year. I remember the first time I went. The president of the club, Anna Kaufman, was really inviting and had this wonderful energy and immediately made me talk in front of other people, my biggest fear. And I did it. And I think because I did it, I said to myself, I have to come back. I have to keep doing it. The reason I sought out Toastmasters is because in my work as a career and life coach, I'm giving more workshops and teaching more classes. And I know my material, so I want to make sure that I'm conveying my material as enthusiastically and as effectively as possible. One of the biggest things I've learned about myself from Toastmasters is that I kind of love the microphone. I would have never known that. If you had known me growing up, you would have called me shy. You would have called me quiet. I never talked. Through Toastmasters, now when I give a speech, I hold that microphone proudly. I hold it. I have a lot to say. Listen to me. It's really cool. I love Toastmasters, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And once again, thank you everyone so much for coming tonight and participating. I personally love hearing everybody's stories and anecdotes and thoughts and dreams. It's just so interesting. You never know what someone's going to say, and I think everyone always has something really important to add to the conversation here at Toastmasters in our lives. So I'm going to turn it over to Deb, and I do want to say thank you to Deb for pushing this to fruition, and James, who's on camera, for organizing this at Wellesley Media. I'm really happy we got to do this, and thank you for organizing it to both. Thank you so much. Deb?
Thank you. I get to say a lot of thank yous. Thank you especially to James Joyce, who is a member of our Toastmasters group and happens to be the director here, which is why we're able to do this tonight. Thank you, James. A big thank you to Michelle Droeske, our VP of Education, for being a wonderful and warm table topics master. Thank you to our audience members in the studio here. It takes a lot of courage to speak on TV, and exceptional courage to answer questions on the spot. You are all brave. Thank you for your courage and your openness and your embracing being here tonight. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Lastly, I want to thank the people at home for watching. We hope that we have piqued your interest as to what Toastmasters is and how it might be interesting for you to participate. We encourage you to reach out to us and find out about coming to one of our meetings as a guest. Again, we meet at Sunlife Financial Thursdays at noon. We look forward to meeting you. Thank you.